Oh, new era my behind. WWE Monday Night Raw review. We were promised new things. You know, they said, we know we've been messing up, so we're gonna get better. It's gonna be a new era, new matchups, new. And this is what they call a new era? Like, man, we're seeing the same things. It's 2019, we're seeing the same things. Where is this change? Where is this shakeup that we were gonna see? That's what I wanna know. Like, when are we gonna get to that in WWE RAW? When is the change, the shakeup, the big thing gonna happen with Monday Night Raw? Like, instead, we're just getting the same old. And look, it comes down to Monday Night Raw. Like, I see a legitimate effort on Tuesday nights that I do not see on Monday nights. And I'm not talking about just I'm not talking about the wrestlers, but more of an effort creatively on Tuesday on SmackDown than I see on Monday nights on Monday Night Raw. There's just no effort creatively there. And I'm about to get into some of that in this review, but I just do not get it. Like, the same people write SmackDown, write Raw just about. I mean, the same guy that's looking over SmackDown is hovering over Raw as well, but we just see more of an effort on Tuesday nights. Get into this new era of Monday Night Raw. We're about to hop right on into the review. We started off with a pretty cool Mean Gene graphic. You know, the crowd started chanting Mean Gene, Mean Gene, Mean Gene. That was pretty cool. And then we went right into a Seth Rollins and Bobby Lashley brawl, and like, no music and kicking off the Raw. We just went right backstage and they were getting at it. And we had random wrestlers trying to break it up. Zack Ryder is even in on things. And eventually that sprawled into the arena. Crowd went crazy for it. You know, they went back and forth. Eventually they held it all together and got him backstage. And then we got John Cena, the 16-time champ now? 16-time champ, I think he is. Yeah, 16-time champ John Cena comes down to ringside. I welcomed the crowd, and he talked about how he won't get left out of WrestleMania again. He didn't get left out last year, but that's beside the point. He said that he would be into the Royal Rumble match. I have no problems with that whatsoever. Royal Rumble, it's all about the big names with the Royal Rumble, and John Cena is one of the biggest names in all of wrestling. So that brought out Drew McIntyre, talking about how he's been waiting for this moment for years. Talking about how he didn't care about John Cena's bad partners or his haircut. And right when he said that, I was like, about time we get to somebody that's having a promo against John Cena. He doesn't talk about Nikki Bella. Like, nobody wants to hear about that. Nobody wants to hear about John Cena when somebody's having a promo against Nikki Bella. Like, let's just talk about the specifics. And Drew McIntyre got to the specifics, excuse me. He talked about how he cared about his 16 World Championships and how he main evented WrestleMania multiple times and how Vince McMahon called him the greatest of all time. Drew agreed with that, but he said that he was there to take John Cena out like he took out other legends. And that eventually led to Lio Rush coming down right as we were about to get into it with Drew McIntyre and Cena. Lio Rush, Bobby Lashley comes down. And right before they can get to the middle of the rampway, here comes Seth Rollins. They're getting it on. Dean Ambrose is getting them some. And then that brings down Finn Balor for the Teddy Long 6-man tag team match. So we got involved with the 6-man tag team match, and I gotta say, the first segment, I really enjoyed it. Felt like an old school WCW brawl to start the show, so I enjoyed it for the most part. A 6-man tag to start the show. This was a phenomenal 6-man tag match. We had some good spots, and I thought that it flowed really well. I enjoyed it very much. And Seth freaking Rollins, man, he picked up the victory, and he just got on the Seth Rollins hot tag roll that he always gets on, and it was just a beauty, a sight to behold. He picked up the victory on Ambrose with the curb stomp. I still call it the curb stomp, that's just me. But it was a fantastic 6-man tag matchup, and we got Triple H on the screen talking to Sasha Banks and Bayley backstage for whatever reason. So Seth Rollins made a beeline straight to Triple H, knocked his coffee out of his hand, and demanded a match with Dean Ambrose tonight. Triple H gave it to him, and it would be Falls Count Anywhere. So that got the crowd really pumped up, and we had ourselves a match: Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose on Monday Night Raw for the Intercontinental Championship. How about that? So moving on, we got to the Mean Gene a salute and ceremony, and that brought out Hulk Hogan. And man, I just gotta say that, look, I have my feelings on Hulk Hogan, and I'm gonna just get right on into it. Here's my thing with Hulk Hogan. Obviously, he said what he said. You know, that was what it was. He then gave a half-hearted apology to the New Day and to Titus, to which the New Day and Titus said he apologized for getting caught. And then he went on to tell Bill Apter that those who don't forgive me don't understand the brotherhood of wrestling. When he said that, I was through with Hulk Hogan. And I still kind of am through with Hulk Hogan. But it was a ceremony for Mean Gene, and it was a good ceremony, and WWE's video package was phenomenal. And you know what? It's all about Mean Gene Okerlund. He is one of the voices of my childhood. I took it really tough when he passed away. It's just really tough seeing your childhood just go away like that. Such a big part of your childhood go away like that. And it was a good ceremony for Mean Gene. My feelings for Hulk Hogan aside, because I am still kind of through with him. You know, we're here to honor Mean Gene, and they honored Mean Gene well. So moving on, we had the WWE Tag Team Championship match, the Lumberjack match. Bobby Roode and Chad Gable versus the Revival, and this is just a recurring theme. First of all, I don't like lumberjack matches. They're so clunky, and they take away from the rhythm of the match. Somebody gets thrown outside. We have to go through the business of somebody picking up somebody, they're throwing them back in the ring. Then we have that business again. Somebody gets thrown to the outside. We have to go through that again. It's like, man. Like, everybody gets thrown in, except for when somebody's on the outside waiting for their spot, then they don't throw them back in. I don't know if you noticed that in lumberjack matches, but it is what it is. It was decent action in this match, to be quite honest. Really good in-ring work, and from that perspective, I enjoyed it, but we just have this same reoccurring thing going on with the Revival. Chad Gable and Bobby Roode picks up the win, and we have the win, but the Revival's foot was on the rope. I can't remember whether it was Dash Wilder or Scott Dawson's foot was on the ropes, and they got pinned 1, 2, 3. And now we have a reoccurring match. It's going to be the Revival and Chad Gable and Bobby Roode again, because the Revival got screwed over again. Like, how many times or how many matches do we have to go through where the Revival is getting screwed over? Whether it's the Lucha House Party, where they have these insane 3-on-2 rules, where the Revival is getting screwed over, or the Revival getting screwed over time and time again while facing Bobby Roode and Chad Gable. Like, how many matches do the Revival have to get screwed over in? Like, we get the story. Just put the championships on the Revival, for goodness sakes. Like, I'm getting tired of seeing them, to be quite honest. Getting these same old matches with the same old people, with the same things happening at the end of the match. So we'll see what happens from here on in going forward. So moving on after that, speaking of the same old things, here was Elias in the ring. And I gotta say, it's 2019. We keep getting promised new things. Elias was here to talk about he talked about 2018, how he had more in store for 2019, how he's entering the Royal Rumble match. He had more in store for 2019. More of what? More of the same from WWE Creative? Oh, let's just throw Elias out there. Let's just have him talk with the crowd and play a song. And let's just have somebody interrupt him. Like, do you realize for the entirety of Elias's run, that's been his gimmick, that's been his thing? Go out there and let somebody interrupt you. We have not had a significant Elias feud in like forever. Maybe when he faced up against Seth Rollins for the Intercontinental title, maybe that was significant and noteworthy. That was like the only noteworthy feud of Elias's entire run so far. He's been called up for a long time now. So we got to that promo, and of course, same old thing. Baron Corbin comes out to interrupt it. We're moving on here. You know, it's a new era. A new era enough for Baron Corbin to come out again, interrupt Elias, and we have another Elias versus Baron Corbin matchup. Like, man, give me a break, WWE RAW. Elias versus Baron Corbin again? Like, nobody wants to see that. It was an uninteresting match. Baron Corbin picked up the win. So the feud continues, for goodness sakes. And we're gonna see this again, right? Baron Corbin is still talking about the same things. Elias still doing the same things. Can we do something different with these guys, for goodness sakes? Sheesh. Moving on. Got the backstage interview, or the backstage promo, excuse me, with Dean Ambrose. Talking about how he never liked 6-man tags. Anyways, that's pretty funny because all the Shield did with 6-man tags. And I don't know what's going on with Dean Ambrose. I just do not find him interesting anymore like I did when he first came back. He looked like a psycho when he first came back. He didn't talk, and it was just so different. It's like Dean Ambrose is this new guy. He's the most interesting wrestling character on the WWE roster, and now he's a typical heel. Talking about how he's the moral compass of WWE. That is, who came up with that? Because it is just not an interesting line. And whatever he has going on is not interesting. Talked about how he would take on Seth Rollins tonight and burn him down. So moving on, we have Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar in the ring. And man, oh man, oh man. Paul Heyman, they both weren't in the ring. Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar was backstage. Braun Strowman was in the ring. And Paul Heyman talked about how the card is subject to change. They said face-to-face, but we would not be getting a face-to-face because Brock Lesnar then wouldn't have an opponent for the Royal Rumble. Braun, like, it just went downhill. It was uninteresting from the start when Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar was backstage, but it just went down a hill when Braun Strowman, grabbed the mic. He called Brock Beastie Boy. And like after that, it didn't matter what came out of Braun Strowman's mouth. When you call somebody Beastie Boy, hey Beastie Boy, like I can't take you seriously after that. And like it was just an awkward process. And look, I'm gonna tell you what the problem is. They've killed Braun Strowman's momentum. Like they should have put the title like on Braun Strowman like a year ago. Like I can remember whether it was like 2 SummerSlams ago, I think it was, when we had the 4-way match for the Universal title. It was like Braun Strowman, Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, and Samoa Joe. And at that time, I was like, bro, put the title on Braun Strowman. That was like 2 or 3 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago. Where I was like, put the title on Braun Strowman, or else he's gonna lose momentum. I have been saying that for that long. And clearly, the crowd still loves Braun Strowman, but he just does not have that effect. He just does not have that magic anymore because they would not pull the trigger on Braun Strowman because they were steadily working on Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, and they were devaluing everybody else on the roster because of it. Now Braun Strowman has no momentum whatsoever, and nobody cares about this match, including yours truly. So eventually, Brock Lesnar came down the ringside, looked like they were gonna get it on, and then Brock Lesnar pulled the heel maneuver back down and hit it to the back. So I have no interest in this match whatsoever. whatsoever. If you have interest in this match, then more power to you. I hope you enjoy it. Jinder Mahal was next with Alicia Fox. They did some stupid thing about Tranquility. Then Jinder Mahal insulted some fans ringside, which was fairly funny. I gotta give it to him. Maybe they should let him do that more often. Then we got a mixed tag match, Jinder Mahal, Alicia Fox versus Ember Moon and Apollo Crews. It only went for like a minute and a half or 2 minutes. It was a basic squash match. Ember Moon picked up the victory with the Eclipse. Boy, Alicia Fox sold it really well. I gotta hand it to her. Sold it fantastically. Alicia Fox and Mickie James selling the Eclipse. They just do it fantastically. But Ember Moon and Apollo Crews picks up the victory here. So after that, we got a moment of bliss with Alexa Bliss. Normally these Alexa Bliss talkie segments don't go really well, so I was questionable about it. But we had Ronda Rousey come down the ringside. She talked about how there was somebody she wanted to face off with, a true underdog, somebody that works harder than Charlotte and Becky. She kept going on and on and on. And I was like, please, just say Sasha Banks. And she said Sasha Banks. And this brought out Nia Jax. She talked about how she wanted her rematch. Seth had a rematch. And I'm like, wait a minute. You wasn't the champion. You don't get a rematch for being a challenger, getting your butt whipped, tapping out. You don't get a automatic rematch for being a challenger who lost fair and square, for goodness sakes. So this brought out Sasha Banks. She talked about how she would teach Ronda Rousey how to lose with dignity. I love that line, by the way. Then Nia Jax got in her face and said that she weighed 300. She was a 300.5 ounce Samoan. Oh man, she had a Scott Steiner moment. Like, didn't you mean 300.5 pound Samoan? Like, Nia Jax was just on a roll of bad momentum in this interview or in this promo. So Sasha Banks, she told Sasha Banks to get to the end of the line. Sasha Banks took umption with that, and I'm not gonna repeat what she said, but she said, forget your end of the line. We can have a match right now. Winner faces Ronda Rousey. I like the wrestlers making the matches, by the way. I've always loved that since I was a kid. That was the way when I was a kid, I watched wrestling. Wrestlers used to just make the matches, and it was what it was. So that was a really awkward segment. I didn't enjoy it whatsoever. The only thing that made it interesting was Sasha Banks' one-liner, and that was it. Then we got Sasha Banks versus Nia Jax. And like Tamina and Bayley were ringside. I didn't enjoy this match. Tamina and Bayley got into it. That kind of took away from the match a little bit. But Nia Jax is just so unsafe, man. Like, she was just flinging Sasha Banks around. She had a press slam on some boxes. Like, she has to be more careful with Sasha Banks. That was a vicious press slam on those boxes. The match itself, it just seems like Nia Jax cannot have a good match with anybody other than Ronda Rousey. That seems to be weird to me. When it came to Sasha Banks, I didn't really enjoy the match all that much. After he picked up toward the end, Sasha Banks had a dangerous, it looked like Sasha Banks was going for a Hurricane Rana on the apron, and Nia Jax didn't quite cooperate with the maneuver, and Sasha Banks almost broke her neck on the floor, for goodness sakes. But at the end of the day, they had a nice finishing sequence. Sasha Banks locked on the bank statement, and that would pick up the win. She's going to go on to face Ronda Rousey at the Royal Rumble. That should be a phenomenal match. So moving on to the main event, we have Falls Count Anywhere, Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins attacked Dean Ambrose from behind during his entrance. That picked up the match right then and there. It was a very quick and fast match. Not a very quick and fast match, but a quick and fast paced match to start the match. We got right backstage before anybody can know it. I love a good match that goes backstage, a good brawl that goes backstage. We don't see that on WWE TV much anymore, and we got it here. We went backstage, we had some good brawling. We had a few decent spots, where it looked like Seth was gonna kill Dean Ambrose, but he didn't. So we eventually got back into the arena, and we had a nice table spot that took place on a commercial break. Like, how does that happen? How does anybody not tell something? Then, you know what? Let's save the table spot for when we get back on TV. But either way it goes, we had some good brawling, got to the outside. Dean Ambrose peeled up the padding, and it looked like he was going to destroy Seth Rollins again, but he didn't. Then Seth Rollins got on one of those rolls again, and Seth Rollins is famous for, like, getting a hot tag. He just picked up the pace, hit a superplex, and looked like he was going to do the superplex Falcon Arrow bit, but he instead went with the buckle bomb and a super kick. Crowd was on fire, and then he hit the curb stomp afterwards. This led Bobby Lashley to come out to ringside. He beat down Seth Rollins. I hit him with a spear, and eventually that led to Dean Ambrose picking up the win. This was a fantastic match. The Bobby Lashley interference took away from it, but it did accomplish something in that Bobby Lashley got heat from the fans, and finally we got Bobby Lashley taken seriously in a serious spot. And guess what? The fans hate him for all the right reasons. He's a heel that's supposed to get hated. So we got a table break after that. Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush stood tall as we closed the show. Look, as for this WWE RAW overall, I did not have any interest in it. Well, I had interest in the 6-man tag. The opening promo was pretty nice. We had a good brawl from there. The 6-man tag. And the main event was decent at best. Anything after that I had no interest in whatsoever. I like the Mean Gene video package was well done, so I love that as well. But a new era. Where's this new era? It's the same old, man. We just doing the same things. Like, I gotta wait till Tuesday to get my wrestling programming going, the interest in wrestling programming, because I know an effort is gonna get put forth creatively. Right? We rarely get an effort put forth creatively on WWE RAW, and we saw that tonight. So let me know what you thought about WWE RAW in the YouTube comments, or let me know what you thought on Twitter at @OMGCorby or at 2SweetPod. Let me know your thoughts.